Hi, today we're going to talk about fungus gnats. And if you've ever had a house plant or started some seeds indoors, you've probably had some fungus gnats. And they're tiny little flies that buzz around, and you'll know them, they'll fly up your nose and all kinds of being annoying. So I've got 8 ways to get rid of them. So we're going to start with the number 1 way to get rid of your fungus gnats is to keep your soil drier. So if you're an overwaterer like me, you're going to want to cut back on your water and try and make sure that that top level of soil is dry. So maybe up fungus gnats will lay their eggs in about the top inch or so of the soil. And so if you can keep that top layer dry, you're less likely to have adults that fly in and find that to be an attractive place to lay their eggs. And the most worrisome thing about a fungus gnat is not the adults, actually, it's the larvae that are in the soil. So they are feeding on fungus and root hairs, and they can do a lot of damage by destroying the roots and causing your plant to wilt or be stunted or even kill little tiny seedlings. So that's the number 1 thing, to keep your plants a little drier. So next up, we need to try using a yellow sticky trap. Yellow sticky traps come on cards or little stakes or shapes. You can hang them from a stake or a string, or you can just kind of prop them up on the soil, but keep them fairly close to the soil so that the fungus gnats are attracted to yellow and they'll fly up. You'll peel this up and it's sticky on there, so the fungus gnats will fly up and get stuck. And if you can get them before they can lay their eggs, then you're going to reduce your problem by far. The third thing, and one of my favorite things to use, is a BT product. So BT is Bacillus thuringiensis, and it is a bacteria that attacks larvae and soil-borne insects. So this bacteria is going to go after the fungus gnat larvae before they even become adults and become a problem. So I like to use, they come in different forms. This is a little packet, it's called a Mosquito Beater, and it is a Bacillus thuringiensis product. And you can just drop this in the water, in your water can. It'll dissolve. That little package just dissolves right in the water. And next time you water the plant, just water that right in. And mosquito beaters come in a couple of different forms. There's a dunk that's actually a big round disc, and you can drop that in your soil, or in your water, and let it dissolve. And the nice thing about a dunk is it's a bigger chunk, so it dissolves a little bit. So your first round you can water through your water can full, and then go back and refill. There's still some left. You can shake it up a little bit and kind of get it to dissolve as you go along, and keep watering several cans worth. And then probably the easiest one is, they're called Mosquito Bits. And these are little granules, and you can just kind of sprinkle them on the soil dry, and then go back over it, and when you water your plants, water that in. And then every time you water, a little bit more will be released into the soil. And so you'll get some better control that way. So BT, that's a product to look for, and that is probably my favorite way to get rid of a fungus gnat. Another way is to use a potato. And that seems a little strange, but what you do is you cut it in half, and then you take that cut side and push it down into the soil a little bit, just so it overlaps into the soil, and fungus gnat larvae will be attracted to the potato, and they'll start burrowing inside. So every couple days you throw that piece of potato out, and you put a new one in, and eventually you'll get rid of a lot of fungus gnats that way. Another thing to remember is using potting mix with peat or coir based. So some of these potting mixes come, and they'll even say for house plants and less prone to fungus gnats. And the reason that is because peat and coir will dry out fairly easily, as opposed to a bark-based mix that has a tendency to have some fungus in it and also will attract a fungus gnat. So look for potting mixes that are specifically for house plants and made out of peat or coir. Next one I've got is a beneficial nematode. So beneficial insects, there's 2 different kinds. There's a wasp that'll take care of fungus gnats, and also these nematodes. And it comes in like a little powder, and you just mix that with soil, or with water again, and water it into the soil as you're watering. Now, the thing to remember about these is it's very slow acting. The nematodes have to kind of become active in the soil and then go after the nematode larvae. So you're not going to get a quick response from this. You're not going to notice an instant reduction in fungus gnats, but it will actually take care of it, and it's very organic and environment friendly. Another thing to do is to keep your soil covered. So like I said, fungus gnats want to lay their eggs in the top inch of soil. So if you can keep that really dry, you'll have less fungus gnats being laid in your soil, in your potting mix. So things that work great for that is like an inch of layer of sand. Rice hulls works really good. Turkey grit's another one that'll keep that soil surface dry and keep the insects from coming in from the outside. And lastly, I want to talk about insecticidal soap and neem oil. Those are two nice insecticides that you can actually mix with water. I would get it in a concentrate and mix about a tablespoon in a gallon of water, and then water your plants in with it. Don't bother to spray them. If you actually just spritz, use a ready to use and spray them, that won't do you any good. Basically, you want to attack the larvae that's in the soil. Going after the adults and spraying the foliage won't do you any good. So mix it with water, pour it into the soil, and you'll have better luck eliminating your fungus gnats that way. So if you've got some fungus gnats, go for one of these tips, and I hope you can get rid of them.